we go direct to our presentation. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes,
Someone?
you can. Yes, you can.
Yes, we can.
Doctor, can you hear us?
Someone, let's begin. I'll be as brief as possible to ensure that I go through your expectations from the training. We will introduce the government securities. Okay, government securities fall in the fixed income investment. And why do we call them fixed income investments? Because they give a fixed return during their active tenure. That is why they are called fixed income investments. And what are they? They are mainly the government securities. Government securities are debt obligations that the government and individuals that the government that individuals and organizations can invest in. So in that case, the government becomes the issuer and the investor becomes the lender. The both get into an agreement that binds the both parties as long as the security tenor is active. So basically, that is what government security is all about. What are the types of government securities? The treasury bills and the treasury bonds. Those are the government securities that the issuer gives. The treasury bills are short-term. They mature in 3 months, that is 91 days, 6 months, that is 182 days, and 1 year, that is 364 days. They are usually subjected to withholding tax of 15%. The minimum investment amount is 100,000. During their issue, they are discounted. And they are issued weekly by the Central Bank of Kenya. That is the treasury bills. Okay, I will do a brief presentation of the item, and then during the Q&A section or the interactive section, we shall get to deeper details of this. So the other type of government securities, the government bonds, the treasury bonds, which are mainly what we do in the fixed income department. They are long-term, more than a year. They got fixed coupons, and these coupons are paid out every 6 months, that is semi-annually. Every month, the government has a primary auction for bonds. It can be a new issue, a reopened bond, or both. Like last month, we had a new issue for the IFB 23. This month, we have reopened bonds. We shall get to that when we do the analysis of the prospectus. We got 2 main types of bonds, the government bonds and the corporate bonds. The government bonds, they are issued by the government to fund its activities and their projects. The corporate bonds, though very rare, and investors don't invest mainly in the corporate bonds, they are issued by companies and institutions to increase their working capital. So the government bonds are what investors mainly do, and that is what we shall cover. There are 2 main types of government bonds, the fixed coupons or the fixed deposit. These are the FXDs, and the infrastructure bonds. We've been singing this song of infrastructure bonds. We even forget the fixed deposits. We look at each one of them to understand better. The fixed deposits, these are the normal bonds or the commonly frequently issued bonds by the government. They're usually subjected to a withholding tax of 10% for bonds with a tenor of 10 years and above, and 15% for bonds with a tenor of 10 years and below. These are the fixed deposit bonds. The minimum amount to invest is 50,000 Kenyan shillings. We go to the infrastructure bonds. They are very rare to find them issued by the government. They are tax-free, becoming very attractive to investors. The minimum amount to invest in an infrastructure bond is 100,000 Kenyan shillings. For each of the bonds, after the investment amount, the minimum investment amount, they can be invested in multiples of 50,000 in the primary market. What I mean is, for a fixed deposit, an FXD, you can do 100,000, 150,000, 200, 350. For infrastructure bond, the same, minimum being 150,000. I mean 100,000. So you can do 150,000 to 50, still in multiples of 50 in the primary market. It will be different when it comes to secondary trading, but for the primary market, multiples of 50,000. What do you require for you to invest in the government securities? You require a CBK CDS account, an active bank account, and the funds to invest. Those are the main requirements to do the government securities. And please note, it is a CBK CDS account. You find there are investors who say they have a CDSC account, but they usually refer to the one for shares, the one for the equities, which is a CDSC account. It is different from the CBK CDS account. That is why it is very clear it is a CBK CDS account. So how do you get that CBK CDS account? The account is opened physically at Central Bank of Kenya. You physically visit Central Bank. You will be given an application form. You go to your commercial bank. They have their section that they do their approval. You return to CBK with copies of your KYC documents, that is a passport or ID copy, a KRA PIN copy, a free passport photo. It should be free. It should not be attached on that application form. Why? Because when you go back to Central Bank, you have to sign behind that passport photo in presence of an official. That is why you have to be physically at Central Bank. You sign in presence of an official. So the passport photo and the section where the investor signs. You sign your documents and leave them at Central Bank. Wait for the account to be opened. It usually takes around 2 weeks. And Central Bank National Data Office sends you the details after the account is created. If you are not able to go to Central Bank of Kenya for the account, Faida Investment comes in and do you a nominee account. So what is this nominee account? It is an account opened on behalf of the investor at Central Bank. It is opened on behalf of the investor at Central Bank. So it is a custodial account. The client desiring to have a nominee account, they fill a CDS1 form. Those who have shares, they know a CDS1 form is one that opens the CDSC account. But in this case of a nominee account, the CDS1 form captures their contact details. When they fill that CDS1 form, they give us their contact details and we are able to create for them an internal account. They provide us with their KYC documents. This is a passport photo or passport image, an ID or passport copy, KRA PIN copy, a utility bill, or a one-page bank statement. These are know your client documents. So for all the KYCs and the nominee accounts, they can be sent through email. That is why it is very easy for someone who is in the diaspora to invest in the government security, since everything can be done through email. They send their documents to us through email, their application form through email. We do the internal account creation, and now we go to CBK on their behalf. All these documents for the nominee are sent via email. Communication is usually on email. Everything else is usually on email. That is why it is usually easy for them to invest irrespective of where they are located. So what are the features of these nominee accounts? The account opening, FIDA assists you open the CDS account. They go to Central Bank of Kenya on your behalf. The security that investors do through the nominee account. I can hear some noise in the background. I hope I'm clear. The noise is not affecting the presentation.
You're clear.
Great. So for the nominee accounts, the security we do is mainly the government bonds. These are I'm presenting the features of the nominee account. The security we do is mainly the government bonds. And in this case,
Rachel,
specifically,
sorry for interrupting. Could you put it full screen? There's a request to have the...
Sorry, if you could ask people to mute or you mute them.
I'm actually looking for that person.
It's Lucille.
Lucille, can you please mute yourself?
Or maybe you can mute them just in case they are not aware.
Yeah, just mute all of us kindly.
Yes.
I've muted her. So there's a request, Rachel, for you to go full screen so that guys can see better.
Okay. You know, these things were not created with us. Now I'm looking for where to make it full screen.
I think on the bottom near where you have the 73%, just next to that button.
Pardon?
At the bottom where you have the screen said the 78%, just the button before that.
Or maybe put it in presentation mode, please, at the top left. One of the buttons at the top left.
Rachel, are you able to see?
No, not yet.
On the bottom right, there's a place where there's a line with that normally slides in and out in terms of zooming in.
That is on the presentation.
Yes, on the PPT document that you have. On the bottom right, there's a few buttons that are there. Or press F5 actually. Try pressing F5 on your laptop. F number 5. I don't know if that will work for you.
Is that okay now?
No.
Not yet.
No,
Corey,
messed everything
Rachel,
because I'm not even
Rachel.
able to know. Yes, please.
Rachel,
Yes,
you
please.
see on the top left of your presentation, top left corner of your screen.
I had done a full screen. Now I'm not even able to get to my screen. Okay. Top left corner of my screen.
There's some buttons there where you see that button you used to save. Then there's one to, I think, undo. Then there's another one that looks like a tiny laptop. When you click on it, it goes into presentation mode. Sorry. The next one, the last one. right on top. No, next. Yeah, click on that.
This one.
Yes. Okay. It's weird.
So should we begin?
It's okay. I think you can just proceed. Figure it out as we go.
Now, when I decide to mute, where do I go? When I decide to mute, because you've taken my whole screen.
Press escape. Just press on the laptop. There's a button that says escape. Can you see it?
Escape.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that. In the meantime, let us proceed. Thank you for that assistance. So we want the features of the nominee account. We said account opening, we assist. The security is where we were at. With the nominee account, we mainly do government bonds and specifically infrastructure bonds. These infrastructure bonds are tax-free. The coupon or interest, it is made every 6 months like any other bond. The minimum investment amount is Kenya shillings 100,000. Any additional investment in multiples of 100,000 Kenyan shillings. The return on investment, this is the yield to maturity rate, is the prevailing market rate, the prevailing bonds market rate. To have the nominee account, FAIDA charges you 2,000 Kenyan shillings. And anytime you are doing a transaction in the secondary market, a commission of 0.035% of the consideration is charged. Those are mainly the features that come with the nominee account.
Rachel?
Yes, please.
We are still stuck on the introduction page. Maybe you can go down the slides.
What about the introduction?
I'm saying what you're projecting is we are only seeing the introduction. We are on slide number 3.
Okay, now this full screen, the full screen part is what I'm not able to do. I can't be able to give you a full screen.
It's okay, just proceed.
Apologies about that. So are we on slide 8?
Yes.
And that's where we were at. I just presented the features of the nominee account. I think I should briefly go through them again. Mainly, we do the government bonds, specifically infrastructure bonds, which are tax-free. The interest or the coupon is made every 6 months, that is semi-annually. The minimum investment amount is 100,000 Kenyan shillings. Any additional investment in multiples of 100,000. The return on investment, this is the yield to maturity rate, the prevailing bond rate. An application fee of 2,000 shillings for the nominee account is charged. And anytime a transaction in the secondary market is done, a commission of 0.035% of the consideration is charged. So where do we buy bonds from? We have two markets, the primary market and the secondary market. The primary market is when securities are sold for the first time by the issuer, in this case, the government. In a layman's language, when they are floated by the government. This happens every week for treasury bills and every month for treasury bonds. For bonds, it can be a new issue or a reopened bond or both. That is the primary market, when they are issued first by the issuer. Secondary market is when where the investors buy and sell the securities they already own. In a secondary market, a pricing is done in consideration to buy or sell and sent to the respective investors for their approval before the trade is executed. After the trade is executed, a contract note is issued. The investor who is buying receives the settlement details to enable them do the payment after they've purchased. Okay, we will do the secondary market somewhere down after this slide, I believe. So what is the process of buying a treasury bill or a treasury bond? That is during a primary offer. When there is a primary offer, the government gives a prospectus, a bond prospectus, like what there is on offer, there is a prospectus for that. So how do you read and interpret that bond prospectus? The bond prospectus is available on the CBK website. And sometimes you find these shared to various groups that we are in. As long as you have the bond prospectus, check the issue, the bond issue. Is it an infrastructure bond? Is it a fixed coupon or an FXD, a fixed deposit? Check the tenor of the bond. Some people usually want to do short papers, others long. Check the type of issue. Is it a new issue? Is it a reopened bond? Or do we have both? Like in the month of August, we had both. We had new issues. We had a new issue and we had reopened bonds. Most importantly, check the dates. The closure date for bidding, the dates they have given for the auctioning, and the value date for the bond. Those are the things you should mainly check on the bond prospectus. I hope I will be able to share a prospectus. Have I shared a prospectus?
Yeah, we can see.
Great. So this is what is on offer as at now. I want to learn how to read and interpret bond prospectus.
Eat your food, man.
I hope the background noise will not interfere. So these are reopened bonds. There is a 15-year, two 15-year bonds, and one 25-year bond. They are reopened bonds, meaning they will not be issued at a clean price of 100 because they are reopened bonds. So when you look at the bond issue, this is the bond issue. You will see the 15-year, which was issued in 2013. The 15-year again, that was issued in 2019, and it was the third issue of a 15-year bond in 2019. And you'll see the first issue of a 25-year bond in the year 2021. That is how you interpret the bond issue. The first part is usually the bond type. Is it an infrastructure bond? Is it a fixed coupon? And was it the first or the second or the third to be issued for those number of years in that particular year? The second part represents the year of issue, and the third part represents the bond tenor. Like, for example, this 15-year bond, the 2019 15-year bond, it was the one that has been reopened is the third 15-year bond that was issued in 2019. I hope that is clear. So when you come to bidding, because you have to understand the prospectus first before you do the bidding. What is it trying to say on this example here, this whole table here? After bidding, auctioning is done. Let us use the 25-year, this 25-year. After results are announced, and for example, the rate comes to 13%, the bond will be issued at a clean price of 106,756. That will be the price of the bond during issue. If the bidding comes to, this is the table given there is just an example to help the investor understand what prices they will buy the bonds at in case a certain rate is achieved after bidding results. After auctioning is done, sorry. If the bid comes to an average of 13.5, the bond will be issued at a clean price of 102. So since the rate of the bond right now is 13.924, after auctioning, if the results fall below 13.924, if they fall below any rate from 13.9, 13.6, 12.7, as long as it is below what it's paying right now, the price will be a premium. Since it is higher than 100. If the price, which is practically not possible, if the price happen to be more than the 13.9, like in this case, a 14, the clean price will be 99.4, and the price will be at a discount. But for a reopened bond, it is practically not possible to buy a bond at a discount. Since this bond was issued in May, it is about to pay its first coupon. And there is interest that has accrued since its issue until its value date. That is why it's practically close to impossible to have a reopened bond, bought at a discount. So when you are doing the bidding, and the investors who are usually affected are those who do competitive bidding. Competitive bidding is when you indicate a rate for your bid. Competitive bidders are the ones who are usually discounted or buy a bond at a premium in the primary market. But if a bid was non-competitive, it is always at par, the average. Whatever auction results, the bid goes with it because it was an average bid.
Hi, Rachel.
Yes, hi
Do
to
you mind
you.
repeating that part?
The part of the pricing.
Yes, that whole how the bidding is born. Yes, just repeat that section kindly.
Akafika ni 17 days pale. The next day, Garissa.
We have the second page. I hope the background noise is not affecting us. The second part of the prospectus, there is a place I have highlighted of the price quote, the discounted, the premium, and the par. We will do an illustration with two prospectus. This one of bonds on offer right now, and the prospectus for the IFB 23 that was issued early in the month. For a discounted price, it comes if your bid is below Okay, let us just get back to the first page where we have the illustration. If after bidding, your rate, the rate that you had indicated you as a competitive bidder, your rate qualifies and it is above what the bond is paying, you will buy that bond at a discount because the clean price is below 100. Like in this case, if we are using an example of this 25-year bond, which has a rate of 13.924. If after results, they announce a rate of 14%, and someone who had bid 14% will be successful, and they will buy the bond at a clean price of 99, which will be a discount. So for example, if they had done 100,000, they will buy at 99,000 and some hundreds. The exact figure of a bond payment are usually given by CBK. We cannot be able to give the exact figure because of these decimal points. They may look negligible, but they are very significant when it comes to a calculation. So after bid results, the results given to the investor by CBK give the exact amount of the exact amount to be paid during payment. So if, for example, this bond of 25-year goes to 14%, and someone had bid 14%, they will buy that bond at a discount. But practically for a reopened bond, it is not possible because the bond has accrued interest since its issue till the value date.
Perhaps, Rachel, I can just make a clarification around bidding. So you'll find that the idea of a competitive rate. So somebody's asking, is it like an auction? So if you're dealing with very large amounts of money, because it's a lot of money, you kind of put in a bid in terms of what the interest you think you should pay is. So what happens is a bunch of people put in bids. So the ones who are putting in quite a lot of money, usually over 20 million shillings, they say, I think for this bond, we're going to pay 13.5, 13.6, 13.7, etc. And then what CBK does is it takes all the bids and takes an average amount. So it tells you the average bid or the bid that we're accepting are, 13 point, like in this case, 13.9. So as a retail investor, you will usually, in the form, you say whatever the rate is what I will go with, typically, generally speaking.
Yeah. Yes, you do average.
You do an average, exactly. So for you as a retail investor, you don't have to be thinking about what percentage to put in there. You can just go with whatever the average is. Just to clarify that you yourself, you don't have to put in a percentage if you're not investing more than 20 million shillings.
Okay, it's never limited strictly to the people doing 20 million and above. Sometimes you find a retail investor bidding competitively of which it is right. You cannot hinder him or her from bidding competitively. But since a retail investor is also trying to make ends meet and to be safe and to be on the safer side, that's why we usually encourage them to do average bidding. Because you see, for the high net worth clients, they have other investments. So even though they lost a bid, they wouldn't be much affected. But you can imagine a retail investor who is trying to make ends meet, doing a competitive bidding, and misses that bond. Like, for example, the infrastructure bond that was recently issued. A client happens to bid competitively and then misses, they will be much affected, unlike the high net worth client who wouldn't even feel a pinch. That is why for the retail investors, we usually encourage them to do average bidding. But if a client insists to do competitive bidding, even with 100,000 or 200,000, we cannot hinder them from doing that.
Yeah, agreed. But if you're doing over 20 million, you have to do a competitive bid, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, sometimes you do average. You can also do average.
Okay.
Even with the 20 million and above, you can do average, but up to 20 million.
Okay.
A quick question. Sorry to disturb. Rachel, if I bid competitively, do I get charged, or is there any charge if my bid does not go through?
No, if your bid is not successful, you'll not even get the results. You'll not be charged.
Okay.
The person who is usually charged by CBK is the person who bids and the bid becomes successful, but they fail to honor the payment. There's usually a penalty for that. Your account may be suspended, such stuff. Is it clear with the reopened bond, or someone wants some more clarification?
I have a question, Rachel.
Yes, please.
On where you spoke about buying it at a discounted price, if you quote, is it above or below the offer?
Above.
Above.
If you quote
So
above the average.
Above the average, if you quote, okay. So as a retail investor, right? And you're doing it in a competitive way, which means you get the rate that is offered as the average. So you just buy it at par. There's no discount or premium issues, right? You just buy it at the par price.
Exactly. If you did 100,000, you'll do 100,000.
Okay, asante.
Then
Rachel, one thing.
Rachel.
Yes, please.
I see on the prospectus that we just have down there where we have the IXD 1/2021-25 on the lower part where it says important information. On the example there, it says that I think we flipped. Yeah. If quoted yield is 13.924%, dirty price is a clean price plus 5.891, which is equals to 1.5. So that means at 13.94, then it means I will pay 105. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
That section just gives an example of what will happen after the results. At least the client or the investor will have a clue of, in case this is what the average will be, this will be the price of the bond.
So ideally it means all the clean price will be plus the tax. This is not the final.
Okay, yes, the withholding tax will be factored in. And that is why it becomes tricky to know the exact amount until CBK gives the results and gives you the exact amount to do.
Rachel?
Because these, yes, please.
May I please ask, how do you know what the current price is?
Okay, the bonds are already in the market. Like for this 25-year bond, it was issued in May, and that is why we know that it is having a rate of 13.924. That is the coupon rate.
Okay.
It is a reopened bond. We already know what its rate is.
Okay. And FXD, is that when you look at the FXD one, so FXD really means treasury bonds. Is that it?
Fixed coupon.
Fixed coupon. Okay.
Treasury bond. Fixed coupon
I get
treasury
it.
bond.
I get it. Thank you.
We shall look at another example of an IFB to differentiate the two.
Hold on, just for my understanding. So if you want to buy the 25-year bond as we speak, you would be paying 99.968.
That will
Is that
be the
right?
clean price if after the results, this is the average that will be got, 13.924. If that
When do
is
you know
the
the
average
results?
that, okay, bidding usually closes on Tuesdays, like in this case. When I mentioned about studying and interpreting a prospectus, I mentioned about the dates. The prospectus always give the dates. Like for this case, bidding closes on Tuesday, which will be 5th October, and the auction date will be the following day on Wednesday. And this is what usually happens for every other bond. Bidding closes usually close on a Tuesday, and bidding closes on a Tuesday, and auctioning is usually done the following day, which is usually a Wednesday. So from Wednesday in the evening and Thursday, we usually get the results. And then the investor prepares himself to make the payment by the following Monday. Like in this case, you can see the bidding closes on Tuesday 5th, auction is on 6th, and then the results will be announced on 7th. I am looking for the payment, but it is usually the following Monday. Let me see. Basically, that is usually the procedure. I cannot see where they are saying the value date.
It's below the
But they give
period of
this
sale.
information.
It's below the period of sale.
Exactly. Thank you very much. The value date is 11th October, which is usually the following Monday after bidding. And if it is a holiday, like in this case, on Monday 11th might be a holiday, the 10th holiday pushed forward might. If it happens to be a holiday, the payment date is usually made to be the following day, Tuesday.
So Rachel, as you speak, we already know that the bond will be 13.924. Does that mean that it might change?
Okay.
So the previous bonds, yes, go ahead.
The coupon rate does not change. What now is being negotiated on, even in the bidding, is the yield to maturity, which also affects trading in the secondary market, because that is what changes the return on investment, the yield to maturity rate. It is what changes, and it is what determines the dirty price and the clean price of a bond. The coupon rate will remain the same, irrespective of whether you bought it during its new issue or during its reopened time or in the secondary market, as long as it is that particular issue. In this case, IFB1 2021/25. As long as it is that particular bond, the coupon rate will remain 13.924. It is never affected. What changes is the YTM, and that is what you are bidding.
Rachel,
Clear? Yes.
kindly go back to page 1 of the prospectus. Now, looking at FXD1 2021/25, let's assume that the average bids stand at 13.875.
Okay.
Now it means when we bid, say I wanted to bid for 100,000, and the average rate that has been achieved in the market is 13.875, and below here they are saying the bond attracts accrued interest. I cannot see the accrued interest for this bond. Accrued interest of 5.891. So it means that if 13.875 is what has been achieved as the average, we will be required to pay 105 and something. 100 and
Yes,
105,000.
the clean price plus that. Exactly.
106.
106, sorry. 106 point something.
106, 201.
Yes, that will be the
Now
price.
my question is, yeah, that is the price that I'm going to pay. But now, when it comes to my coupon payments after I bought the bond, I'll be getting a rate of 13.875 for 100,000.
No, the coupon rate remains 13.924. The coupon rate is not affected at all. That is what will remain.
So irrespective of the rate that you are going to achieve, it means if I put 100,000 for this particular bond, I'll be receiving 13,924 less tax of 10% per annum.
Exactly. Exactly. You are very right.
Thank you.
Another question before we move to the next prospectus?
Rachel, just a question. Is it then advisable to buy a bond that has not been reissued, since you've mentioned that reissued bonds do not have are not discounted?
Okay. Hey, when it comes to investment, as much as there is an external force who is advising you, the sole decision lies on the investor. Because, like in this case, the government needs 60 billion. You will see after results, there will be oversubscription. People will have oversubscribed. It will bring more than the 60 billion that the government wants. Why? Because even though it is a reopened bond, someone still wants to invest in it. And like for the competitive bidders or the people who are trading the bond in the secondary market, you may find the yield curve is at 13.4, just an example, 13.4. And they see this bidding or the results will be somewhere above the 13.4. So they'll rather do the primary instead of go negotiate the rate in the secondary market, which is 13.4. They'd rather bid the average, which may come to 13.5, 13.6. It's called bidding. You can never know what will come. And ni kubahatisha. But even though you are doing your bidding, there is also the projections that we make and the advices that we give as well. So it doesn't mean that an investor should not invest in a reopened bond. It all depends with other factors. Like someone wants to invest some money, they don't want their money lie somewhere, they don't want to do the bond in the secondary, so they'd rather do it in the primary. All these factors. Another question?
Very quick question. Sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
In regard to my
Someone was
previous
asking a question.
Yes, in regard to my previous question, the average the after tax rate is 12.53 for this bond. So
Pardon?
if I put in, I'm saying if the average is 13.924, it means that after tax I'm supposed to get a yield of 12.5316.
Oh, okay. After the 10%
So
tax,
when
yes.
yes, so when as an investor, I am calculating my yield, or rather, when as an investor, when I'm calculating my return on investment, considering that I will have put 106, 210 for this bond, and I'm receiving 12,531. It means that my return on investment is lower than the return of an investor who bought the bond during the primary issue.
Yes. If you buy a bond, a reopened bond, or you buy a bond in the secondary market, the return, the yield to maturity, which is usually the return on investment, is lower than the person who bought it in the primary. And it is lower because the government usually discourages people from selling bonds. It encourages you hold your bond. Like for example, the person who bought this bond when it was issued, the coupon is usually the same as the YTM, the yield to maturity. But to discourage you from selling, or to discourage someone else from buying the bond in the secondary, the rate becomes lower. That is why the rate is always low, and it goes lower as a bond approaches its maturity. Clear?
That is clear. Then as we proceed with the presentation, maybe you can touch on this issue. I've heard it being mentioned that you can actually purchase a bond in the secondary market, and you end up making a loss from that bond.
Okay, when we get to that secondary market trading, I will touch on that. We were still on primary bidding. I will touch on that.
All right.
Okay. Maybe I can quickly do the IFB that was issued for September, just to quickly go through it. Are you able to see it, the IFB?
Not yet.
No.
No.
Now?
Yes, we can see.
Okay. So the one that we were just discussing You see this one has a blank page on its left side because it doesn't have the example of the prices if a bond is reopened. It was a new issue. The other one showed clearly that it was an FXD. This one shows clearly it is an infrastructure bond, though the information there is also clear. It is an infrastructure bond on offer. This was issued for September. Just like the other bond, the first part gives the type of the bond. In this case, it's an infrastructure bond, so it is IFB. 1, meaning it is the first 21-year bond issued in 2021. I believe that one is clear to everyone, how to interpret the bond issue. Then the normal things that we said we look at when we get a prospectus. The dates. When is it closing? When is it being paid? All that information and the minimum amount, it is there very clear. For infrastructure bond, they usually have partial redemptions. Like, for example, this one, this 21-year bond, it has a partial redemption after 10 years. That is for amounts of 1 million and below. Amounts of 1 million and below, there will be full redemption after 10 years. Amounts of 1 million and above, there will be partial redemption. Meaning, if you had invested 2 million, after 10 years, you will get your 1 million back. Then the next 11 years, you continue receiving your coupons for the remaining 1 million. That is what amortization is all about. So infrastructure bonds are usually amortized. Coming to the price, the discounted, the premium, the par for a new issue, it becomes easy. A new bond can be issued at a discount this way. You do the bidding. For example, this one, maybe I can just use the exact rates that the bonds give. The bond for this, the rate for this is 12.737%. The person who had done an average bidding, that is the rate that governs both the coupon and the YTM. A competitive bidder who had done 12.7, to get the difference between the premium and the discount, kindly let us listen to this clearly so that we get to understand. I am using the exact rate that the bond has. It is at 12.737. An investor who did 12.7 will buy that bond at a premium, since they have bid lower than the average. So their price will not be 100, it will be 100 point something. Those rates given by central bank after the results. The client or the investor who did, for example, 12.75. 12.75 is above the average. They are going to buy this bond at a discount. Their price will be 99 point something. But above the bidding, the CBK after auctioning comes up with a cutoff mark. That is why the competitive bidders who bid high rates, they never get the bids, because their bids are above the cutoff. How they get the cutoff, I don't know. But if your bid is below the cutoff and it is above the average, you'll buy the bond at a discount. Am I communicating? Someone can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Can I just
Am I
quickly ask
communicating
something?
something?
So if, for
Yes,
example,
please.
I bid competitive, I have a chance of getting a different payment, or CBK decides on one payment for non-competitive and one payment for competitive?
For non-competitive, whatever amount you had bid is what you pay. If you had bid 100,000, you will pay 100,000 because your price will be par. It was an average bid. Whatever you had bid is what you pay. For competitive, you have to wait for the results from CBK so that they give you the exact amount to pay for the bond. If it will be a premium, you will pay more. For example, if you had done 100,000 and after the auctioning, your bid gives a premium price, you'll buy the bond, you will pay 100 plus shillings for the bond, depending on the price that your bidding has given. If your bid was above the average and it is within the cutoff, you'll buy that bond at a discount. You had bid 100,000, but you'll find yourself paying 98,000 or 99,000, depending on the price that your bid will give. Clear?
Very quick question, please. Suppose you lose your bid. Does that mean on that month, you're not going to be able to purchase the bond?
Exactly. If your bid is not successful, you will not be penalized, but you'll not be able to purchase any bid and you'll not even get the results.
Thank you. And just, are you going, one minute, are you going to be showing us how to actually place a bid? Would you be showing us that?
Okay, through the TMD, I will do that.
Thank you.
Someone had a question before I go back to the
Yes.
presentation. Yes.
Yes, please. Just to take you back a little bit, could you repeat the explanation behind the amortization, please?
Okay, amortization is mainly, okay, it's usually on infrastructure bonds. This is partial, okay, infrastructure bonds mature in bits, unlike the FXDs. If an FXD was a 25-year bond, it will mature after the 25-year. But for infrastructure bonds, they mature in bits. Like for example, what is on display right now, it's a 21-year bond, but after 10 years, there will be partial redemption for $1 million. This information is usually available on the prospectus. For $1 million and below, there will be full redemption after 10 years. So if you as an investor did $1 million shillings on that infrastructure bond and decide to hold the bond till maturity, you will not hold the bond for 21 years. After 10 years, you will get your whole face value amount back. If you did more than $1 million, there will be partial redemption. For example, if you did 2 million, you will get your 1 million back after 10 years, then continue receiving coupons for the remaining 1 million for the remaining 11 years. Clear?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Kindly, let's go back to the presentation. I believe we are in a position to interpret a prospectus because you cannot be able to place any bid without understanding the prospectus. So we have read and interpreted a bond prospectus. So how do you go about buying now the bond? You have two alternatives: doing the paperwork and submitting your bid through TMD. Through the paperwork, there is the bonds application form. You fill it, duly fill it with all the details, the bond issue number, the duration, the value date, the amount that you are bidding in figures and in words. Then the bidding part, will you do competitive? Will you do non-competitive? You give your CDS account number, your virtual account number, you sign, like you have to jury fill the form. After you once the form is filled, you submit to CBK tender box before the closure date of the bidding. That information, remember, it is available on the prospectus. Then after it is usually on Tuesdays. After the closure, CBK does auctioning and gives the result. Successful bidders are given their result, and now they are left to instruct their banks to make the payments. That is for investors who have individuals accounts with CBK. For an investor with a nominee account, remember we touched on a nominee account, we will do the bidding for them. Okay, the nominee account came up from considering our Kenyan people in the diaspora. We have very many people who desire to invest in the diaspora, but they are not able to have the CBK CDS account. So we came in and offered that service. So for an investor with a nominee account and wishing to do a primary bidding, they have to let us know. They deposit them funds to our account. Remember, for a nominee account, every transaction is through us, that is Faida Investment Bank. Once we do the bidding and the results are given, we do the payment. So the client, wherever he or she is, only wait for coupons. So basically, the bidding is as simple as that from the paperwork. From the TMD, a TMD account holder is one who has a CBK CDS account and they are able to access the account on mobile. TMD is Treasury Mobile Direct. Okay, I wanted, if possible, because the TMD bidding will be left to us, not to Faida, but to us as individuals. I wanted to have one of us who has the account. Do I have Kevin Mudama on board?
Yes.
Great. Kevin has a TMD account, and I wanted us to do a practical bidding through the TMD so that he can confirm that it is doable from wherever an investor is, as long as they have their mobile phone and as long as they have registered their CBK CDS account on TMD. So basically, it's just the way you buy data bundles from Safaricom or from Airtel or any other mobile banking service given by our commercial banks. You dial *866#. Kevin, when you dial, you'll tell me so that we proceed together. Kevin? Kevin, are you able to do that?
Yes.
Okay, you will be confirming to the group that these things are possible and available on the TMD. When you dial the *866#, you are welcomed to your CBK mobile services. You have several menus: balance inquiry, the auction bids, the bonds details, your account, rolling over, a number of items in the menu. Right, Kevin? Kevin? Can somebody hear Kevin speak?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, I wanted him to confirm that whatever I'm explaining is able to be achieved by any investor from their mobile phones. Maybe if there is someone else who has a TMD.
I can confirm.
Great, great. So on that menu, number 2, there is the auction bids. Remember, you are going to the USSD after studying the prospectus and knowing what is on offer, its terms, all that. When you're going to TMD, you are going to place your bid. So when you do number 2, auction bids, what do you get?
Treasury bills and treasury bonds.
Great. Great. Treasury bills and treasury bonds. So, like I mentioned, treasury bills are usually issued weekly. An investor may be deciding to or interested in doing the treasury bill. So you are given the option of either doing a treasury bill or a treasury bond. Let us leave the treasury bill and answer to treasury bonds. What do you get?
The 3 bonds that are on offer.
Great, the 3 bonds that are on offer. So this is very simple. It's like the same way you usually buy data bundles from your mobile phone or any other service. As long as you follow the steps, in the long run, you'll be able to bid, and your bid is sent to CBK, and then you just wait to get the results. You then instruct your bank to pay. As simple as that. It is not hard. You see, after getting the treasury bonds on offer, you select the one that you want to bid. You go on, just following the steps that prompt you. Can someone confirm that that one is very easy, doing the bidding from your TMD?
It's very easy.
Great.
It actually reduces the time and a lot of paperwork. And if we are also able to do online banking, then you are able to complete the entire process without visiting a bank or the central bank. You can do everything at the comfort of your seat.
Exactly, that is nice. So let us not concentrate much on the TMD and the IP.
Very quick question. Is it possible to actually do this from outside, like using this application?
Outside?
From outside the country, because you have to dial
the internet banking.
866.
The internet banking.
Exactly.
The internet banking. The internet banking should allow you should make you be in a position to do all this. The internet banking.
Okay, through the CBK.
For TMD, I think for TMD, you must use a mobile phone number that is registered in Kenya.
Exactly. But when you're outside the country and you're able to do internet banking, that is IB, you can be able to do that.
Okay.
Because that one is internet.
Thank you.
So let us not concentrate much on the TMD. In case of any query, we shall share contacts for further information. So that is basically the primary market for both bonds and bills. So if one is not able to do a primary purchase and they want a certain issue or a certain bond, what do? They get the bond from the secondary market. This is where someone told me I should explain like I'm explaining to a small child, and I will try to be very brief and explain, and I hope I'll be in a position to answer their questions. Secondary market, we said it's where investors trade what they already have. So someone who is purchasing a bond, like for example, the recently issued infrastructure bond, someone missed it or someone bid unsuccessfully and they really want that bond, what do? They buy the bond from the secondary market. Basically, you share your portfolio with the broker that you want to invest with. The broker confirms that they are able to trade with your account, meaning your account should have been marked under the broker that you want to invest with. If you go to CBK and have your account opened, you can be able to transact CBK directly. But any point you will need secondary trading, you must in capital letters have a broker. So how do you have that broker? You map your account with a broker with an ATS registration form. The ATS registration form is available in the CBK website. On the other hand, it is available in either of the brokers that you want to deal with. You can be sent to through email, but the originally signed form is what CBK usually wants. So irrespective of where you are, you must, if you want to map your account under a broker, you must be in a position to give us the originally signed form. Once we map your account under a broker, that portfolio or your CDS account number, it's usually the portfolio, is able to be seen by the broker from their end, and they can be able to trade. That is why it is very important to first share your portfolio with your broker. Then you tell them the amount that you want to invest. They will do a bond
Sorry,
pricing.
Rachel, sorry, there's someone whose mic is not muted and it's really disrupting. Corey, could you help?
That's what I'm trying to, just give me a sec, please.
Someone has got mute, Corey?
It's Lucilla Nyekunda.
Okay, apologies. You know, we are doing this thing from the house, so there are still people who are talking in the background and all that. So it might even come from me, but I got nowhere else to go.
It's okay. That's been sorted.
So apologies. I'll try to maintain. Yeah. So a bond pricing will give the exact value of a bond. So once a pricing is done, it is shared with the investor for consideration to purchase. Remember, we are purchasing. Then trading is done, and the investor or the buyer receives contract notes and settlement details for payment purposes. That is basically trading in the secondary market, buying a bond in the secondary market. It's simple. You share your portfolio, the amount you want to invest, you get a pricing, you approve, or you say, yes, you approve. We trade, we send you the contract notes and the settlement details, you make the payment directly to CBK. So what is this pricing? It is a calculation or a quotation that gives the exact value of a bond. You want to invest 100,000 of the recently issued IFB. You will not buy it at 100,000. You will buy it at a higher price. What is the higher price? A pricing will give you the exact value of the bond. Why do we have to do a pricing? Because interest for bonds accrue every day. Since the issue of the bond, till the day you are buying that bond, there is interest that has accrued, and it has to be factored in because the person selling to you the bond, they have forgone their coupon, they have given you their coupon. So you have to compensate them. So that is why a pricing is done. On the other hand, the prevailing market rates affect the pricing. Remember, we said that the YTM changes and it goes lower as the bond approaches its maturity. So whatever is prevailing affects the price of a bond. That is why a pricing is done to give the exact value of a bond. When you do a pricing, I remember some time ago I had shared an example of a pricing, and some of you may have come across a pricing example. You will come across things like dirty price, clean price. So what are they? Dirty price includes the accrued interest paid, the accrued interest between coupon payment. Like from when the bond was issued to today, there is interest that has accrued. From when the bond paid its coupon last to the day you are buying that bond, there is interest that has accrued. So that price that includes the dirty price, that price that includes the accrued interest is the dirty price. The clean price is the quoted price. Quoted price, like this is what will rule for the reopened bonds. I am sure I explained that during the prospectus. Like the clean price will not be 100. It will be higher than 100 because it will be a premium. But that will be its clean price during issue. So it is the quoted price. Then there is something we call the consideration. Sorry. Remember we said that there is a commission of 0.035% of the consideration. So what is this consideration? It is a result or the impact of the price on the face value or the invested amount. For example, a case of 100,000 Kenyan shillings for the infrastructure bond. Someone who, for example, wants to buy the recently issued infrastructure bond today, after the 100,000 is subjected, or okay, the dirty price acts on the face value, a consideration of around 104, 105 will be got. So that consideration is the impact of the price on the face value. And that consideration is what a commission is charged on, which is usually 0.035%. That rate is cuts across almost all the brokers, 0.035% of the consideration, not of the invested amount, but of the consideration. Something to query on before I proceed?
So in this case, so in the case of the infrastructure bond, if the consideration says 106,000 now, you'll earn a commission of 0.035% of 106,000.
Yes, and let me make something clear. If that percentage is lower than 500, if it is lower than 500 shillings, we do the 500 shillings. The minimum commission should be 500 shillings. So for this case, it is much, much lower. But if it goes to 505, we will do the 505. The percentage, the 0.035% of the consideration goes to more than 500 shillings. That's what we pick. If it comes below, we pick 500 shillings. And that 0.035% comprises of our commission, the VAT, the CMA levies, and NSC, all that. That 0.035% comprises of the three. Clear?
Yes.
Okay, silence means okay. So we have done a bond, purchasing a bill. It is very easy. Bills are never traded in the secondary market since they are short term, and we said they are issued weekly. So what you do if you want to do a bill, you confirm with your broker or from the CBK website for the bills on offer. Then you fill in the bonds bills application form, drop it to CBK tender box before 2 p.m. of the closure date. Then the CBK actions the bids and announces the result. Successive bidders are notified then the payment for payment purposes. Remember, we said that bond bills are usually issued at a discount, and the exact amount of a bond of a bill is given by CBK. Because for 100,000, that which is usually the minimum amount, you'll find yourself paying 97,000, 94,000, depending on which bill issue you are investing in and what its rates are. And the factor, the 15% tax factor is still considered. Then through the TMG, it's basically the procedure that was confirmed to be easy. You get what when you do the USSD, you do the auction bids, you'll be required to choose whether it's a treasury bill you are doing or a treasury bond. For the case of a bill, you do a treasury bill. You'll be given the option of the 3 months, the 6 months, the 1 year, and then you just proceed with your bidding. For treasury bills, it's not hard. It's very easy. And bidding through paperwork, it's also not hard. So if you want to sell these government securities, what do? Let us do a bill, which is very rare to find. You get, okay, they are short term, and offloading before maturity is not common. If an investor insists or wishes to sell the treasury bill, they contact CBK. It is usually a technical procedure. It is very rare anyway, because the bills are short term. But selling a treasury bond, you contact your broker to learn the prevailing market rates for the bond issue. Why? Because you might find yourself, okay, making a loss, but it will not be a loss as such. Someone had asked about making losses in the secondary trading. This is where you find someone making a loss or making a profit, and that is why it is very, very important to confirm with your broker the rates, the prevailing market rates, before you proceed. So, for example, the 25-year that we were discussing, someone successfully bought it in the primary market and got it at the average of 13.9, and now wants to sell the bond and then find the rate to be 13.4. That one is a guaranteed profit to them because they have sold at a lower rate from what they bought. And the person buying it is buying it at a premium. Remember, a pricing is done to both investors, that is the buyer and the seller, in consideration for either of the transaction. So the seller who is selling the bond will get the pricing in consideration to sell. And the seller buying will get the pricing in consideration to buy. If they both agree, either of the transactions, they approve, the trade is closed. A question before I proceed?
Yeah, I had a question. So for the rate for the bills, right? Let's say it's a 91 day, and the rate maybe is 8%. That means 91 divided by 365. Is that what you get, or?
Okay, the rates for T-bills they are also per annum. So if you invest 3 months, remember your rate will your return will be for the 3 months.
Okay.
Any query when it comes to selling a bond in the secondary market?
Yes. Yes. Now, if working with the IFB, that was issued last month. There's a lot of activity on that bond in the secondary market right now, and I've been seeing brokers quoting rates that are declining. There's a time it was 12.6. I think I saw last week at 12.4, around 12.45. So in this case, are these the institutional investors who are selling off their bonds in the secondary market?
Okay. Any investor, whether an institution or an individual investor or a company, may decide or could be the ones, or they are the ones disposing or offloading their bonds in the secondary market. And in most cases, you find that they are offloading so that they buy the primary. So they want to get money to buy the primary. But before they offload.
So then.
Yes.
So then my question is, assuming that I bought the IFB at the primary issue, and I got the average yield of 12.737. I go to the secondary market tomorrow to sell mine and say the rate is 12.45. Does it mean that am I selling my bond at a profit, or I'm selling it at a loss?
At a huge profit.
If I sell mine tomorrow at 12.45, it will be a huge profit.
Yes, because the dirty price is more than 100.
Yes.
And the dirty price is what the amount, the face value. The dirty price works on the face value. So the lower the rate, the higher the dirty price.
Now, is it possible, maybe after this presentation, working with that infrastructure bond that was issued, you do a tabulation which you can share with the group. For say someone who bought it at 100, quoted the average, who bought bonds worth 100,000 as the primary issue, and now in the secondary market, they sell the bond at say 12.45. For what?
Okay, I will share.
What
I will
is
share that
huge
tomorrow.
profit that you're talking about? Yes.
I will share that tomorrow. I am not in a position to calculate that right now, since I don't have some of those. Okay, the calculator that we use, I don't have it right now, but I will share with you the value, the exact value of selling a bond as per your request. Tomorrow, I will share in the group.
All right, thank you.
Any other question? Okay, silence means okay. So what are the benefits of investing in government bonds? One, there is a guarantee return. They are issued by the government and backed by the government, making them secure. They have attractive interests. An interest of some 13% and above is such an attractive interest. And the interest allocation is usually every 6 months, that is semi-annually. And then if you invest in infrastructure bonds, they are tax-free. That's a great benefit. If you happen to do the nominee account, there is a benefit of the convenience. No need to physically do CBK because we will do it for you. With the nominee account, there is flexibility, easy entry and exit. For the nominee account holders, we usually guarantee them exit after 12 months. That is for the infrastructure bonds. Remember, we specifically run with infrastructure bonds. So if a client decides to do an FXD, we have no problem. We will do the FXD for them, but we don't guarantee them ease of exit like the infrastructure bond. It's good that one to be clear. Any question so far? So far, what can you tell about your investment journey? Since it's a Thursday, we are drawing back. That one
Very
should
quick.
be a rhetorical question.
Just a quick question. So if you're using the nominee account, I'm presuming you have to use a broker, right?
The nominee account is opened by a broker, so you automatically
use a broker. Okay. Thank you. Would you suggest, do you think that's a better option to do in terms of going with a broker, or that's not an advice you would give?
Okay. The nominee account carries more benefits since, like we said, there is ease of entry and exit. Because for other CBK accounts, a process of selling the holdings is like any other investor. We show the offer, we get the bids, we will close. But a nominee account holder has advantage of a ready market because FIDA Investment Bank will buy back the bond from them. So there is ready market whenever they need some liquidity. On the other hand, nominee account is for investors, mainly for investors not able to go to CBK for their account. Instead of having their money lie idle in a savings account earning them 4 or 5%, they'd rather do that bond that is earning them 12 and above %. But they cannot be able to do that without the CBK CDS account. So we come in and help them get their account. Though every other transaction is through FIDA, the return is much, much more than having the money in a savings account or a current account.
Sure. And just to double check then, regarding the fees for the brokers, you said every time you're going to be launching or wanting to buy a bond, then that's 2,000 shillings. Is that a flat rate of 2,000 shillings or plus any other additional amounts?
2,000 shillings is an account opening fee, a one-off thing.
Okay. What about the rates to the broker every time you buy?
You do a transaction in the secondary market. That pricing that someone has requested me to share with you tomorrow will give that breakdown. A consideration is subjected to a 0.035%. So every time there is a transaction in the secondary market, whether a buy, whether a sell, it has to factor in a commission, 0.035% of the consideration. But it is strictly only when you are doing a transaction. that is when a brokerage charges is done.
So it doesn't apply to the primary market if you're going to be buying from the primary market.
In the primary market, you'll do the amount and 600 shillings for the RTGS, because we have to do the settlement. We have to be charged for the transfer. There is no commission in the in the primary market.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Is it possible for one to have a nominee and also a CBK CDS account?
It is very possible. Only to ensure that every account has holdings, because an account without holdings for a year goes inactive. So if you are able to have both of the accounts with holdings, it is very okay. Remember the nominee account at CBK, it is a client account. It is a custodian account. Totally different from an individual account. So you can have your account as Rachel Gibenji at CBK, and you have a FAIDA client account 100 held for Rachel Gibenji. Those are two different accounts for the same person.
So you have said for a nominee, you guarantee that a client can exit after 12 months.
Yes, for infrastructure bonds. If they do FX deals, we don't guarantee them for infrastructure bonds.
All right, then for now, if they exit, does FAIDA also guarantee that when they're exiting at a profit or at a loss?
One, whenever you are doing your sale, you can never sell at a loss, because you have to earn the interest that has accrued since the last coupon payment. So when a pricing is done, the only difference is, like I said, YTM goes lower as it approaches maturity. So you may find that someone who sold 100,000 today, for example, for a certain bond, remember pricing in the secondary market is highly determined by the date. If it is a CAM coupon, the interest accrued is high. If it's an after coupon, the interest accrued is low. So the date 100% affects the value of a bond. So for an investor disposing their bond, a CAM coupon, they will get all the interest that has accrued since the last coupon payment. So you see, there is no way it can be below whatever you invested. Is it clear?
Yes. I have one more question, please. I don't know if somebody else wants to ask, but I wanted to ask, treasury bills inheritable? That's one question. Meaning if somebody dies, if somebody had invested in treasury bills and they, happen to pass away, so would that automatically go to their family members? And secondly, if, where would you check for that information?
Okay, it is an asset like any other asset. So when the family is doing their succession and they are very aware that the deceased had an investment with the central bank, it should be part of what is being inherited, and that should be clearly shown on the documents, the succession documents. If it's the confirmation of the grant, it should clearly show all this information, and then CBK takes it up from there. it is possible to inherit. If by any chance the investor had not mentioned this information to their family members, they have done succession, and they did not know that there was an asset with central bank of the deceased, one, they will eventually know because the bond will pay out coupons every 6 months. So they would wonder, where does this money come from? And after querying, in the long run, they will get to CBK. But in case they don't get the information, in the long run, it will get to the unclaimed assets department, and unclaimed asset, after a long time, they try to trace the members.
Okay, thank you. That's good information. Thanks.
A question, what happens when your account becomes inactive? How do you activate it?
You have to physically go to CBK and do the activation. Wait for the 2 weeks, get the reactivation notification, and you're good to go. You have to physically do CBK.
And secondly, where is it that there is no commission when there's trading on the primary markets?
Because it is an initial offer from the government. An investor may decide not to use a broker. Directly bid through CBK, do their payments. So you see there is nowhere there is a brokerage fee because they're dealing with the CBK directly. Is it clear?
Yes, that's clear. So the commission that is charged on a secondary market is because the broker is the one who will be dealing with CBK directly, right?
Right. We are the people executing the trade. We have helped you get a buyer for your bond. The buyer, we've helped him get a seller for the bond they want. So a brokerage commission is charged.
I have a question.
Yes, please. Maybe 2 more questions so that we can wind up.
So if I want to buy a bond from the secondary market, so your advice would be I look for an interest that is closer to the initial interest offered?
Yes, when you're doing transactions in the secondary market, that is why a pricing is shared with you. And because as investor A, like for example, the recently issued IFB at 12.7, you may want to do 12.6. But even though you do which broker, even though you talk to who, you find there is no offer for that. So when we are doing transactions in the secondary market, we get the best offer. We go for the best rate. You may want to do the highest you may desire, but you are not getting it. So if you still stick to your rate, you will not be able to get the bond. So you go for the highest being offered.
Okay, thank you. And when if let's say I had bought the IFP that was issued, if I want to like top up, how will let's say initially I had invested 100,000 and I had 50, how will the interest be calculated? Does that mean it will be 50? Okay, I don't know. How
when top-up investments are in multiples of 100. So if you want to top up 100,000, we will do a pricing for that 100,000 as per the date that you are buying that bond. As in, we have to put a value date for the bond. And now then we get the exact amount to pay for the bond. Will it be 104, 105, 107, depending on when are you buying that bond? Is it a CAM coupon or is it an after coupon? The date matters a lot.
Okay, thanks.
Do you then pay the transaction fees as well again when you're topping up?
Pardon?
Do you pay transaction fees again when you're topping up? Is it like a new investment?
Okay, it is when you're topping up, it is like a new investment. You'll do a pricing to get that exact value of the bond.
Okay.
You might find, for example, you might top up today 100,000, you pay 104. Then after 2 months, you top up 100,000, the same bond, but you not pay 104. You'll pay 109 for that bond. The same amount because of the date that you are purchasing, and at that time, what will be the prevailing market rates.
Yeah, thank you.
And what if you bought it directly from CBK? Do you have to top up through a broker or?
If you want to top up, you cannot top up from anywhere else unless there is a reopening. Like for example, the person who bought the 25-year in May, they can top up now because it is reopened. But if they wish to top up and there's no any reopening, they have to top up from the secondary because that's where the trading is.
Okay,
So
thanks.
one last question: Can I have 2 to 3 brokers?
When you are
Can I
doing
have
the
a
nominating of the
different?
brokers,
Yeah.
you are given the opportunity to nominate up to 5 brokers of your choice. That ATS form gives you an opportunity to nominate up to 5 brokers. You can choose 1, you can choose 3, you can choose 5. And the same form gives you the opportunity to delist a broker from your account.
But that means my CDS account will only be one that I can use with any of those 5 that I nominated, right?
Right.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe we can wind up, and in case of further questions, you can put them on the WhatsApp group. I see we are already past 9 p.m. and though we started a little late, maybe we can wind up. And any other question to come through email. I have given my email address, fixedincome@fib.co.ke. I can respond to the queries, or my colleagues who are able to access the email, they can be able to answer your queries. You can contact us from our office lines 020-760-6026 all the way to 47. Or you can reach out to me on my personal cell 0711-121-035 in case of further information, so that we can call it a day. I hope someone has learned something, and I appreciate the audience. Corey, please take over.
Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Rachel.
I think that was far more insightful than all of us thought. So guys, we'll share the link to this session once it's finished uploading. I'll just drop them in both the groups. And in case you have any questions, again, Rachel happens to be in one of the in the first cohort group. Just feel free to reach out to her. And again, the best way to learn is to actually do. So guys, have a great night. We'll see you in the next session. Bye.
Asante. Thank you so much.
Corey.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.